Hello, we are back with It's Gonna Get Artsy. Here you are again with your buddies, Julia and Gus, episode number 4. Gus, how are you doing today?
I don't know. I'm a little bummed because I lost an hour of sleep because of daylight savings time, but I'll get through it. I got my coffee. Yes. All right. So I'm ready.
Okay, Gus and I are really excited because today we're gonna talk about an upcoming show that it's not taking place in New York. It's taking place in Tampa, Florida, and I am here with my really good friend and talented playwright, Karen Campion, to talk about her play High Occupancy Detour. And I am also so excited to be here with the director, Kennedy Engasser. Did I say pronounce your name? Is that the correct pronunciation? Kennedy
Yes, it's Engasser.
Engasser. Okay, Kennedy Engasser, the director. Thank you so much, ladies, for taking the time to be here today. I am really excited for you guys for this play to be part of the Voices of Women Theater Festival in Tampa, Florida. How are you guys doing today?
Well, like us, missing that 1 hour, but managing through it. But yeah, awesome. Doing great down here in sunny Florida.
Yeah, I love your tent, by the way, Karen. I can tell that
I
you're having
know.
great weather over
like,
there.
yeah, just outside walking and suddenly you're like sun-kissed.
Oh, wow. Amazing. So I'm really curious, Karen, just to know more about your play. If you can just give us like a synopsis and, talk about the characters of this powerful piece that you've written.
Sure. So High Occupancy Detour is 320-somethings are in a carpool and they take a detour through self-discovery and a little innocent adult kidnapping to return as the people they might have been. That's the log line for the play. And so to add to that, these 3 young professionals in this carpool are not necessarily friends, right? They're taking this carpool down into Omaha. They're friendly and they've gotten to know each other having this time in the car. So you have that sense, but they're hiding from each other in plain sight. So what you find out early on is that each of these characters is dealing with some level of high functioning depression. And the reason I chose high functioning depression as a theme is because I've been hearing a lot about it in the news. Maybe you guys had as well. And it was always, almost always, I should say, attached to a celebrity suicide that shocked us. It shocked the people in their lives. It shocked the people they worked with. It shocked us, right? The fans. And so when I dug a little deeper, it seemed like these individuals had experienced some childhood trauma. So although they were successful and they were happy and they were living these big lives, they were also dealing with some level of pain and grief. And I was like, wow, you can really be both, but where does the bottom fall out? Like, how does this happen? And I became very curious with that. And I discovered through thinking about it, my own personal internal research is that perhaps high functioning depression in individuals with childhood trauma, so, kind of narrowing that niche a little bit, is perhaps a purgatory between I am nobody's victim, right? They're like, I'm not focusing on that, but yet it never occurred to them to be a survivor either. So this purgatory, this gray area is, I'm running on fumes, I'm coping through life, and maybe that just exhausts you at some point, right? Even if you're living this big, beautiful life, it's like
Draining.
Right. So I have a character who kind of who busts it open, right? By just saying like, have you ever just wanted to drive away? Which as a grown-up is like running away, right? As a child would. So to her surprise, the other 2 characters in the car are like, let's do it. So she's like,
wow.
Well, yeah. So they take off on their detour and they cross so Omaha, I'm from Nebraska, so I know this, and it just kind of stuck with me. So right there at Omaha, you cross the border into Iowa. So this just seemed like really nice, imagery, like making this shift. So, just really it's a 1-act play. So you got 15 minutes to make your point. So now we're in a new area, they're in a new state. And as they, there's truck stops and there's gummies. So it's daring and it's funny as we're coming now to the revealing of the traumas. So again, the character who's kind of leading the way with this, her name is Christy K. And when she reveals her trauma, she thinks, once I say this out loud, that's it, right? To me, that's my way of saying the bottom is coming out now. She thinks once this is out and exposed, I'm done, right? Whatever, fades away. Again, now, secondly, to her surprise, her carpool friend is like, I get it. I have trauma too. Our traumas aren't the same, but the way we're experiencing and living in this world feels the same. And that's the connection, right? It's not that you have to have the exact same trauma to understand each other. It's just understanding like, wow, life, like I'm feeling the same way, like you are not alone. And then our third character, Seth, his experience is a little bit different. So he's struggling with his sexuality, coming out into the world to just be like, I'm a gay man. So in them revealing their drama, he then now feels like, well, I'm going to reveal mine. So this is the beginning of their evolution. They get back in the car, they hit a truck stop, and here they meet a woman who seemingly is living in rougher, tougher, worse circumstances than they are. So they, of course, now that they're like on this evolution, this enlightenment path, they decide to rescue her, which means kidnap her.
Oh God.
They're like, we gotta rescue her, because now they're just on this whole thing, like, they're basically rescuing themselves, right? But they're like taking this girl. So once they get her in the car, they realize, yes, her circumstances are way worse, but this woman is strong, she is brave, she is clever, and they are so inspired by this woman. This is their call to action, their call to enlightenment. And then suddenly they're like, well, I'm all those things too. And I've always been all those things. And so from there, a couple more laughs.
Wow.
And then at the very end of the play, the audience gets to see a group of people that are going together rise up.
Wow, that's so fascinating. And just a few things that just came to me as you were speaking about the play. So when this road trip takes place, like these characters, they don't know each other, or they don't like each other.
They know each other enough, right? They live in the same complex, they take the carpool, but they're not friends necessarily.
They're not friends. Interesting. I love
like
that,
they know each other, but they don't. Yeah, they're not like best friends. Yeah.
I find it very interesting that these characters that are not friends, they're acquaintances, they know each other like on a superficial level, like on this road trip, like some real like vulnerable things come out. I think that's so clever that you did that, made that choice as a writer, because it's easy to just spill your guts out to your best friend, but when it's not somebody that but you're in this situation where you're like in a car together for who knows how many hours. I love that in that time it's just like things start to strip away. So I love that, Karen. That's really wonderful that as a writer you made that choice, because that's very complex. And what is the name of the character that they kidnap? What's her name again?
Her name is Ashley.
Ashley. And she becomes, I guess, based on what I'm hearing, like kind of like a superhero to them, like an inspiration, maybe.
Yeah, she becomes an inspiration because when she tells her story and she's strong in it, and her story is, I guess I can give it away, right? So,
sure.
Truck stops have. And Kennedy and I have talked about this many times. It's been so amazing to work with Kennedy and collaborate and like go over. And Julia, you know this about me. It's like every single word has a place, means something, what leading to the story. Yeah. I mean, it's so crazy how it does boil down sometimes to that. So truck stops, I think, especially in the Midwest, the truckers are entertained often by prostitutes, who come to the truck stops, right? They're known as lot wizards, which is a derogatory term, and I think, right? So, but it's also kind of adds to the humor a little bit, but we do later then touch on like, maybe she doesn't want to be called that. But anyway, they think that's what Ashley is. because she's dressed that way, she's carrying the bag, she's at the truck stop. So then, yeah, they kidnap her, they rescue her because they're like, you know, she's a lot lizard, like she doesn't want to live this life. So when they get her in the car, she's so insulted by this. She's like, I am not a lot lizard. And again, she's like,
Wow.
there's not anything wrong with people making that choice. Again, something Kennedy and I did talk about at length. But she's like, you know, I'm on the streets. I have a daughter. She's like, I clean the truckers' cabs. Like, I'm a cleaning lady, like clever. Like, she's like, I do dress this way because I can make more money. But that, I'm choosing to look like I'm in control of this. Like, I'm doing great. Like, she's an entrepreneur. She's like, she's crushing it. And these young adults, who have had their trauma, because again, it is not about like who's had the tougher life necessarily, but they are looking to her like, oh wow, like she's really like making something of, the hand she was dealt.
Yeah, her tough life, because
and it does inspire them, but then also, they are like, you know what, Ashley, you're coming with us. Like, this is, I wrote it. I love the line. This is a high occupancy vehicle and we've got room. So they take her.
That is so sweet. Oh my God.
Yeah. Isn't that cute, right? So she's kind of like, hey, I'm doing fine on my own. I'm not sure, right? Like, I know that I'm doing okay. And they're like, no, we can all do more. We're all going home today. Yeah. So her life also, she then becomes inspired by them because that's what it's all about, right? Like everybody working together, rising up, not judging, like just living our whole story instead of hiding our parts of ourselves from each other because we're afraid of what people will think.
Right.
Yeah,
I think it's an interesting contrast to have the people who are going through a crisis, and they feel that their life is really, they're depressed about it, and someone who's going through basically the same circumstances, and they just do, they make do, because a lot of times, unless you have like some sort of like clinical depression where like your life is awesome and you feel horrible about it and you're depressed all the time,
right?
A lot of us have legitimate reasons to be depressed about our lives, but it's all in the how that person, maybe their upbringing, maybe their outlook, maybe whatever. But some people say, hey, and then you have the ones that tell you, well, think about the starving kids in Africa, whatever, is what my mother used to say, and but it's not that easy. But at the same time, it's not the end of the world. Your circumstances can be improved sometimes if it's up to you, but sometimes you don't see it. But there are people who do see it, and they had it worse than you, but they made do. So that makes I haven't read the play, but it probably does make for an interesting dynamic. And later we'll ask Kennedy about how she feels about that contrast between the characters.
It does, Gus, and you're kind of making the point of the play, which is the moment you say to yourself, I'm a survivor, suddenly that shame that was never yours to carry really starts to shed. All the strength and the courage and the boldness and the beauty and everything about you that's under there starts to come out. Because when you have just survived something, it's just not the same as saying, whoa, like I'm a survivor. Like, this is about me now. Like, whoever did whatever to me or whatever has happened in my life, like, that's on them. But I don't think I hate to speak in absolutes because I'm not a therapist, just a person out here. But I do believe that the moment that you take that and believe it, because it is true, it all starts to change. And that's everything that you're saying just then about, just that mindset and switching over.
Yeah.
So Kennedy, I really would love to hear about yourself. Please tell us how you came on board on this project and just your vision of directing this like mind-blowing, inspiring play. Please tell us all about it. We really want to hear it.
Oh my gosh, I would love to. Okay, so forgive me, I'm losing my voice a little bit, but I'm going to try to power through.
You sound great, don't worry.
Thank you. So my name is Kennedy. I'm 19 years old. I'm a freshman at the University of South Florida. And I'm a theater major there. I'm also looking to double major in creative writing soon. But I met Deborah Kelly, who is I believe she's the marketing executive at Power Stories Theater. And I met her about a year ago because I was producing a show of my own, and I found that she worked for Broadway World at the time, and I was hoping that she would come and review my show. And so we got in touch through that, and then she ended up having this opportunity for a show that she was doing that I ended up acting in. And so her and I became very close. So we know each other. We worked together multiple times, and so when she got the she was working with Power Stories, and Karen came to her looking for someone to direct her show. And then Deb came to me because she knew me and we knew each other and she knew that I could do it. So I was very excited to get the opportunity, especially because Power Stories is a theater that I had been looking up to, or a theater company that I had been looking up to for a while. I love the stories that they tell, how inspiring they are, and how they are they're very dedicated to telling people stories that don't often get told. And so that really means a lot to me. So when I saw the script for the first time, I was like, okay, this is a show about humans. It's very much like there's no caricatures, there's no like stereotypes of people. Like these are very human characters. So it was very important to me when directing it to like pick out those pieces of them being human. How can we make these actors, these characters feel the most real to the audience within the 15 minutes that we have? So there was a lot of smaller things that I added just within the blocking choices, the way that they interact with each other, just to really show that like these are real humans that that can exist in real life. You know what I mean? So that was very important for my vision, was to show the humanity behind it.
And then so the whole play takes place inside a car, right? Like, so as far as like staging, like what was your vision for that? Like how are you achieving that in like a theater space?
So there was obviously in the stage directions, it says to have 4 chairs like on the stage. And the way that that worked out, I mean, it looks good when you have those 4 chairs on the stage. I decided that I wanted to add a little bit more. So I'm in the process of building kind of like the front of a car. So it'll be just kind of like wooden flats in front of the seats. And then you have the 4 chairs behind it. I actually have 5 chairs. So I have 2 chairs in the front with the passenger and the driver. And then I have 3 chairs in the back. And then in order to still be able to see what's happening in the back, I have the 2 people kind of squished together in the middle row. And then it kind of adds for some comedic elements because Seth, when they kidnap Ashley, he kind of like, he's like sitting on top of her in the middle seat. So it makes for a really cute view.
Okay, I love that. I love that the like set of the stage is like a little minimalist, but a little like you kind of get little hints of where they are, because I think in theater that's so important to just like give the audience hints and just kind of visually take them to that place. So how long have you been rehearsing? Like how long has the whole rehearsal process been? And how did you find the actors? And please also give us their names.
Yes, I'm sorry, give me 1 second.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh my goodness, not meaning to do that. Sorry. Hold on.
No problem. Get yourself comfortable.
Sorry, my laptop just gave me the warning that it was about to die, and I'm like, I don't want that to happen. I thought it was plugged in this
Good
whole
looking
time.
out, Kennedy. Thank you.
I actually, while you were doing that, I was thinking about what you said about the story being about humans. Because I noticed that in the past, I don't know, decade or so, like a lot of stories have been put through a kind of some kind of a prism of like, okay, this is the story, and we're only going to focus on the gender of the characters, or the sexual identity, or the race, or whatever. And at some point you kind of lose sight of like, these are people regardless of what they look like the outside, or how they were born, or whatever. So I really respect that looking at the characters in just as a human rather than, well, this is a gay man or a black woman or whatever, because their humanity is what's going to speak for them, not what they are or what their physical appearance is like.
Yes, absolutely. And Karen did a great job with, writing that into the script. Like there's moments where the characters are where each and every character has a moment of anger and a moment of sorrow and a moment of happiness and a moment of feeling empathy for another character. Like, despite their different situations and their different personalities, like they each have those moments and the comedic moments and the sadder moments that make them all human. So it is something that you have to direct, but you really wouldn't be able to direct it if it wasn't for the script. So, kudos to Karen on that. As far as the actors go and how I found them, so like I said, I'm a student at USF. I also do a lot of community theater. The last show that I was in was at Carrollwood Players in Carrollwood, close to Tampa. And so I have a lot of actor friends. I know a lot of people who are interested in doing shows. So I just kind of I spread the word out on my Instagram. I was like, hey, like I have this amazing opportunity to direct this amazing show. Like, if any of you guys are interested, I'm going to be holding auditions at this park on this day. Like, come out. And I had a great turnout with people wanting to come and audition. So yeah, I mean, it was great. There was one girl I know her from Carrollwood Players, and the other three I know from they all attend USF. So we have Mientek. I know her from Carrollwood Players. She is playing the role of Natasha. We have Rowan DuPriest, and she is playing the role of Christy Kay. We have Carson Brown, who is playing the role of Ashley. And then we have Seth, who is playing the role of Seth.
Awesome. And how long have you been rehearsing for?
We've been rehearsing, let's see, we had auditions towards the end of January. So we've been rehearsing pretty much 1 to 2 times a week for about 2 to 3 hours each rehearsal since then.
Wow. So it's been, I mean, this is very intense, like deep material. So I'm sure you had to get together a lot. And then, so on the website of Voices of Women Theater Festival, I see that they have written this message, which I love, that's critical social issues take center stage, which I think is so important. So, Karen, is that one of the reasons why you submitted your play High Occupancy Detour to this festival? Is that one of the things that like pulled you in to submit your piece to this?
It absolutely did, because I felt like this piece was a little heavy. So I wasn't sure, being new to theater, I wasn't sure if it was really going to have a place, if I like overdid it, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just wasn't sure yet in theater if entertainment and these real issues merged. You know what I mean by that? And I'm learning they absolutely that do. But when I had seen this, I thought, okay, this is a good place for me to submit. And it had that self-producing criteria. I was like, well, I mean, we'll see. So I submitted it. And then it was one of 6 selected. And again, it was the self-producing. And that's where I started to get a little bit nervous, because now I was like, oh, this is so exciting. Like, I guess people are ready to hear, some of the words that are in this play. But now what? And that's when, like Kennedy is saying, I reached back out to Deb, who had emailed me, and I was like, how should I go about finding a director in Tampa? Like, and when she told me Kennedy, and yes, Kennedy is young, right? How awesome that she's on this beautiful path at such a young age. But I thought to myself when Deb was like, hey, she's young, I was like, actually, that is perfect, because I wrote these characters young on purpose, because I felt like, I'm in my 40s, and you see a lot of people going through midlife crisis, which I think actually crisis and clarity are synonyms.
Yes, I do too. I think that too.
Yeah, so I said, gosh, I want these kids to go through this like when they right when they start to really do adulthood. Like, I want this quarter life clarity. I want it big. I want to start that conversation, like untwist yourself right now, whatever you've been through. And so when she had put me in touch with Kennedy, I was like, that is perfect. And then outside of her just being young and awesome, I was like, well, what about props? What about this? Kennedy had the answer to everything.
Oh,
I was like,
incredible. Go
oh my
Kennedy.
gosh. I was like, okay.
Which that's one of the the question that I mentioned before is like, what, Kennedy, uh what perspective has your age given you on this? I know the characters are young and there's no monopoly on perspective. You can be a very mature 19-year-old and like but I remember when I was 19, I cared about things that I could, things that made me like brought me down. I wouldn't say depressed, but I could not possibly care less now. You know what I mean? And because your perspective changes as you get older. So what perspective have you brought to the character to the play?
I think I can relate to a lot of the characters, to a lot of different things that they're saying, especially because I am like closer to their age. Like it's just, and just being in college, like all of us in college, like we're all just trying to find our way in this world. We're trying to like figure out like what everything is and how everything like falls into place. And especially being someone that wants to pursue theater, like that's a very people always tell you that that is a very risky career choice. So you're always wondering, like, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? Like, is this going to benefit me in the long run, or am I just like chasing dreams? You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that perspective has brought a lot to the play because I relate to the characters, and the actors who I was able to bring on, they also relate to the characters. And I think that that just makes it even more real. Like I said, it was very important to me that these characters appear human, and what better way to do that than to be a human that shares the attributes with the characters, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Kennedy, I just want to, well, first of all, congratulate you. You seem like you are very driven. You know what you want. And I have to say, at 19, I was not that at all. I didn't get into being an artist or acting until like my late 20s. That happened much later. At 19, I think I was partying a little bit. So I have to say, I am so amazed by you and your dedication, and you're so driven and focused. And I think that's really important because you seem to have like some map, this direction of where you want to go. And I only wish I had that at 19, but you know what? Life happens the way it does. You're on a great path. And I love how you're, just by talking to you, how your approach to this material is vulnerable, yet coming from like this focus and grounded place. So I'm also happy for you, Karen, that you found her, that you guys connected over this production.
Yeah, and I will say that I feel like I have learned, outside of just, her being my theater mentor, the generational differences aren't as great as people seem to think they are, right? Because like Kennedy's saying,
Yeah.
it's about humanity. If you care, you care, right? So if you are an empathetic person, you always have that bond. But I will say, and I told the cast this when I met them and Kennedy, that, growing up in the 90s, we weren't extremely politically correct, right? So, I watch what I never want to offend anyone, period, right? That's just part of being, a nice person in the world. But at the same time, we also, we did grow up in a time where, you can tease a little, you can be a little funny, you can be appropriate about it. So one of the things I've really appreciated with talking about this script with Kennedy, and then the feedback she also received from the cast, because they have just, like she was saying, they just have like taken on these characters. I couldn't be more pleased with the actors she found, the way they're, taking it so seriously and enjoying it as well, is that they did sometimes say to me, like, this is a little, like, maybe you could make this sound a little less, like, extreme. I don't really, I'm trying to think of, like, the way to say it, but, like, we actually care about, like, for instance, I guess I'll just say it, like, Kennedy called me, and I thought when she was like, hey, we were talking about Ashley's character, the one who is, working at the truck stop, could be a prostitute, but turns out isn't. And I thought when she was like, we want to talk about Ashley's character, being from the 90s, I thought she was going to say, that's, you know, a lot of people aren't going to have sympathy for this. Like, it's too much, it's too over the top. But to my surprise, Kennedy was like, we want to make sure that we are not offending the sex workers. And I was like, oh, okay. And so that's when it really started to dawn on me that I was like, this generation that we give such a hard time to about being so woke and right, everyone's always like, oh my God, freaking out. Like, really, I was thinking about it through the conversations we've had and the small changes we've made in the script so that we are still funny, but we are not offensive. Even if we are teasing a little bit, using the word lot lizard and stuff like that, we're still not being offensive. We're being very, you know, aware of all of that. Is that I'm seeing the generation, and I would like other people to kind of see it this way too, if I ever have the opportunity to talk to people about it. I feel like they are choosing radical kindness. They're choosing radical acceptance because this is a difficult world. We had it, us being a little bit older, it was a little more carefree. We had our dangers, we had our issues, but just not in the same way these kids do. So I think it's like sometimes it comes across like they're judging, but it's really their non-judgments is what they're putting forward. And we're just taking it like, oh my gosh, she's accusing me of not caring about the sex workers, when it's like, wait, no, that's not, she's just saying, hey, like, so I thought that that was just really kind of interesting and cool that we both like looked at each other again as, I'm just going to stick, you know, take it back to Kennedy with the humanity. We're just humans trying to put out this story and like, you know, hope that people take something positive from it and, you know, walk away and realize, you know what, I'm a complex, dynamic person. Maybe
Yeah,
I went
and
through something difficult. Like,
I think sometimes it works better for when you're telling a story not to beat people over the head with your opinions and your biases, right? Because if you're gonna write the characters from that perspective, there's the good guy and the bad guy and the promiscuous
right.
guy, whatever, and then that doesn't make for very interesting writing. You know, you have to look at everybody like, you know, the same when you're approaching a character. You can be playing the most evil, disgusting person in the world, but you have to kind of find a way to like that person, right? In order to play them and give them reasons to do what he or she does. So that is a good approach, you know, like to character developing, you know, viewing them as human, as we've been saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think the message here, or one of the important things about this play, it's about, you know, we're all human, and just having this awareness of being compassionate towards each other, no matter like what walk of life, you know, we're from. And like Karen, you know, I totally commend you for having these characters open up about the trauma. And yeah, it's true, not one trauma is better than the other, but you're just showing them as these are humans, they're going through their struggles, not the same struggles, you know, it could vary in degrees, but we're all going through something. And I think that for me, based on our conversation, that's like one of the messages. So, you know, with this being said, what do you hope the audiences coming to see? Oh, and then I'll announce this later on. If you're not in Tampa, Florida, you can stream this as well. So I'll give you that information later. So the audience coming to see High Occupancy Detour, what do you want them to take away? And we touched about this a little bit earlier on, but just to kind of bring it home, like why is this such an important story to tell in this year, 2024? What do you ladies think about this?
Kennedy, you go first since I just
Yes, Kennedy first, please.
Okay, I will go first. So I remember when I was doing a show a while back, and it was just a total comedy. Like, it didn't really, there was no messages, didn't say anything really. It was just like a comedic bedroom farce that was just like joke after joke after joke. And I remember when I had got changed and I was leaving, and there was an elderly woman who I'd never seen before, who like saw me as I was coming out, and she like looked at me and she was like, I was in a very grouchy mood today and you totally turned my mood around. And I remember that feeling when she said that, like, that I was like, that is what I want to do every show, no matter what it is, no matter what the message is, whether it's comedic or dramatic, no matter what it is. I want everyone to leave the theater being happier than they were when they entered, or feeling changed in some way. It's something just different and better than how they entered the theater, because that to me is why we do theater. That's why it's so important. And this show specifically is so important because we have these characters who are telling these stories that they felt like they couldn't share before, and they are feeling empowered in a way that they didn't know could even happen. And I think especially because it is being held at USF, like there is going to be a lot of students, a lot of young people that are going to see this and think, oh my gosh, like that could be me. Like I have the ability to share my story and tell people my story, and I don't have to feel as stuck as I feel right now, because I know a lot of college students just feel stuck. We're just in a difficult part of our lives where we don't really know what the right path is. And I think that that's okay. And I think that that's something that this story says, is that it's okay to not know exactly where you're going, because we're going to get through it together. And all you have to do is speak your truth and everything's going to be okay. And I think that that's the message that I want people to take out of this. I want them to have some laughs and also have some empathy and just feel better than they did when they entered the building.
That is so beautiful what you just said, Kennedy, and I agree with you 1,000%. Karen, I'm sending it over to you. What do you think about this?
Do you see why I'm obsessed with this person? Kennedy is amazing. I can't say it better than that. All I can add is I feel like people are forgetting that there is humor even in the darkest of times, right? I feel like things keep happening one after the other. Though, like I was kind of alluding to earlier, like it is a little bit of a dark and scarier place than even we are used to. So I feel like, to add the humor into the drama is just, again, and leaving the theater kind of maybe feeling like it's okay to laugh. Even if like you can be both, like you can laugh and you can be upset, like you can be both at the same time. I think that's a good reminder. I always think of this Joan Rivers quote. It's something like, and I should have written it down if I was going to use it, so that's embarrassing, but it's just coming to me, that like it's all like, calm down, it's all funny. And that's a little, a little too simple, but in a sense, it is like, I just remember when I read that from her, that it was like, yeah, like,
I love Joan Rivers. And
I
can
know.
totally imagine her saying
yeah,
that.
you should look at that quote. It's really cute, and it's not meant to simplify things or to be dismissive, but it's just meant to just be like, okay, just take a breath. Like, if something funny is happening near you, laugh. Like, so good for the soul.
Yeah, I think laughter is important. And yeah, sometimes, we're like on the go, going from one thing to another, or, we're going through things and it's hard to laugh, honestly. But if you can find that one friend, or person that will just like brighten up your day, I think that's pretty special. So actually, Gus had a question about the music for this play.
Yes, I heard your son, Karen, is doing the music. Tell us about that.
So Dylan is 12, and him and his friend Vizak, and they'll be going to the show, and I think they're going to get nice feedback, because when I met with Kennedy and the cast, they really liked the music genuinely, and they did a really nice job with it. So they're at their school. It's not really a class or an elective, but they have this really wonderful fine arts department, which excites me since I'm more of a creative. And one of the teachers was like, hey, if you want to learn music production, come during study hall. So they did, and they were learning it. And one day Dylan was sitting next to me. I think he was supposed to be doing homework and I was writing. And he just was like working on this song. And I was like, that is really cool what you're doing. So when the idea of the play, when I was selected for it, had been talking to Kennedy, like, the pieces were kind of starting to fall together. It occurred to me, they're in a car. Like, maybe Dylan could, and his friend Vizak could make a couple of songs, because I know they need to be original. People don't like to get into that whole copywriting. So
Copyright stuff.
Yes. So I just, I asked the teacher, like, hey, is this something that they could do? And it seemed at first like, well, we'll see how much they can get done. But these kids became so inspired that they made these songs, they stay after school, they're working hard on these songs, that honestly, it is the type of mom I want to be. It's the type of person I want to be. Julia is the same way. Kennedy, you, Gus, it's like, when you are rising people up, you're giving them opportunities. It just seemed like it makes me feel so good that one of the things I'm most looking forward to is their faith is lighting up when they hear their music on stage. Like, I'm very excited about it. And Kennedy could not have been like more into the idea of this, like, you know what, because it's like, you know, when you use your voice to elevate someone else, it is crazy how it encourages and elevates yourself. Like, you hear yourself too, right? Like when you're encouraged, that's what I even think of the Voices of Women Festival. When I think of my own voice, I really think my voice got stronger because I was, you know, because I had a little bit of a traumatic childhood and upbringing. So my voice was a little wonky. Like, I wasn't sure of it until I became a mom, and I wanted to like encourage these kids to follow their dreams and be who they are. And I think through saying that and truly wanting that, I started to hear it. And I
Right.
started to be like, maybe I want that for myself too.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes you know, you want to, I don't have kids, but, you know, whenever I talk to young people, I kind of tell them like, you know, I know your parents are going to tell you, get a good job, go do this, you know, get married, whatever, make a lot of money or marry somebody but really, I wish somebody would have told me, like, you know, encourage me being an artist. I had to like just do that on my own and just do it, because everybody else, not in a negative way, but they wanted me to, like, you know, make more money and have a career in something, you know. So it is important, you know, if to tell kids, you know, young people, that to do what inspires them, you know, and if being like a CEO of something inspires them, that's great.
Right.
But if, you know, don't discourage being an artist.
Right. And I think too, what we didn't know, like the good side of like the internet and social media, is I didn't know there was a person who picked the soundtrack. I didn't know people wrote a score. I didn't even really know you could write a script. I honestly thought the kids from Saved by the Bell like lived in the TV. Right. Like, I mean, I had no concept of any, right? Unless someone like showed you and told you, you didn't know. You could be a doctor, a lawyer, work in an office.
Yeah.
These are your choices.
True. It's true. You don't
Yeah.
know until you start asking questions. Well, how does this work? How does that work? And how does that? So yeah, I
And there's
totally.
1,000 jobs in writing and like tens of thousands in like music and writing and theater and the arts.
You know,
So it is
hence
definitely
that
a path to stay on.
those 20 minutes of credits at the end of every movie,
Yes.
like you see that and you're like, wow, all
Yeah.
those people to do like a 1.5 hour movie, like,
Yeah.
is a thing.
Wow. So, okay, guys, you have to, if you're not in the Tampa, Florida area, you can stream this. What an inspiring conversation with Karen Campion and the director, Kennedy Engasser, of the play High Occupancy Detour. It's taking place very, very soon. So please get your tickets. My New York and New Jersey friends, you can stream this online. You can, by all means, if you want a little vacation and you want to fly out to Tampa, Florida, go ahead. But if you can't, the festival runs March 21st through March 30th. And I love what they have on their website. So Voices of Women Theater Festival, empower her, inspire her, amplify her. That is so, so inspiring. So the website that you can go to is www.powerstories.com/ the word vow, VOW -2024 /. So the festival runs March 21st through March 30th, and then you can watch the digital submission and recorded live shows beginning on March 25th. I have to add one word that this play reminds me of, is the word courage, courageous. And I actually hope also, you know, in addition to what Karen, you and Kennedy so said in such a lovely and profound way, I hope it gives courage to some people that may have some trauma, you know, and it's kind of buried down and it's dormant, and maybe your play, this festival, because I went through the website, there are many, many other powerful plays too. I hope this kind of inspires them to speak up, you know, to talk to someone about what they're going through. I know sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it's easy to just keep it bottled in. So I really hope that this play gives people a voice to speak out, you know, which I think is really, really important. So thank you for being with us. I really appreciate you taking the time because I know you're both so busy just getting all those like last minute details, getting ready for the show. I know, Kennedy, you must be really, really busy right now getting ready for
A little bit.
opening night, which is soon.
Yes, it's coming up.
Are you
Yeah.
still having more rehearsals, or are you is the rehearsal process over?
No, we still have a good 3 or 4 more rehearsals, and then we have our tech day. So, and this is the time when, I mean, pretty much the acting portion of it is done. Now it's like, okay, how are we going to make these quick changes happen? How are we going to get the set on stage? How are we going to time the sound and all that? So that's kind of more what the focus is now. But yeah, we still got some work to do.
Oh, and Karen, we can hear the music in Spotify, right?
Oh,
It's-
yes, yes. Their band name is Ocean Melodies. And yeah, just look them up, click on there. Pretty awesome. They've written a couple new songs. They haven't uploaded them yet,
Oh, cool.
but I'm
I
on
have to
it.
go
You
to
know,
my
it is
Spotify
kind of
then.
cool because they're learning what, we go through where it's like you create and you put it out there. And then when it's out there, you're like, you're a little nervous, right? You're like, oh. But I'm always like, the great thing about music, anything in the arts, it's subjective, right? So I'm like, if one person doesn't like it, that's okay. Like
Exactly.
it's all about the people who do, or like you're saying, the people who take the message from this play. If they can hear it and they take it, then however many people do that, that's the win.
Yes. Gus, any last thoughts about this great topic that we've been talking about today?
No, I think just let's put the link out there to the tickets and everything, and we we heard a lot about it, so it sounds really good. I don't want to give away too much, because I want people to go see it. So yeah, it was great, guys. Thank you for coming and talking about it.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you for having us.
Karen and Kennedy, thank you so much. I'm going to post the link, everything down below. And I think, in summary, I think we all agree that theater changes lives. So let's support this wonderful festival, Voices of Women Theater Festival with High Occupancy Detour, written by Karen Campion and directed by Kennedy Engasser, opening March 21st. It's great that you can stream this online if you cannot be there in person. So that's a wonderful feature that they have. I'll post all the information. Again, ladies, thank you so much for having this inspiring and empowering conversation with us. So for our viewers, if you want to receive notifications of our upcoming episodes, please hit the subscribe button right after this. Karen, Kennedy, thank you so much again. Wishing you a successful run with many, many people in the audience, and break a leg to the actors. I wish them all the best. Hopefully I can meet them one day down the line. Who knows? Maybe I'll be in Florida at some point. Thank you so much. And I am signing off. Gus, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much too for all your
Break
great
legs.
insight. Break a leg, guys. Till next time.